For each one of us, there is one thing that is indubitably certain, and that is our own conscious awareness. Therefore, if we want to build our knowledge of reality on rock-solid foundations, that is the place from which to start. Can you explain what that relationship is?
Yes, we better spell that out. The relationship of, another word that's handy here, this relationship of
choices and decisions.
That's a hammer. I can articulate it by hammering with it as a hammer, or I can articulate it as a nail puller. The hammer only makes sense in terms of nails and wood and houses and a totality of equipment.
Yeah. Now, we've talked up to
Maybe
this
he's
point.
paying attention to the nails, but if the nails are going in well and he's really good and he's been doing it all day, he doesn't even have to pay attention.
Beings, and it's from there that we start. I mean, you've just said that one does what one does and lives the way one does because that is how we are. We are embodied time.
That's right. Hammering. When an expert
From
carpenter,
there that we start.
That's right.
We are embodied time.
That's right.
In an unreflecting way.
That's quite right. Hammering, which we better talk about for a minute.
I mean, what I have access to is my mind with its contents.
We can see the hammer as a wooden shank with an iron blob on the end.
Yeah.
We're and the structure of heavy.
We're coping.
And quite right.
Or you wouldn't be understood.
That's right.
Yeah.
A totality of equipment.
Yeah. Now, we've talked up to this point.
All of this makes sense as oriented toward some
decisions and mentally aware
of me, not my mind, toward the hammer, using this hammer.
If one takes together various aspects of what you've said up to this point, they could be rather disquieting. I mean, you've just said
simply hammering. If the hammer is working well and he's a master at what he's doing, you could try to explain hammering. Tables, galaxies, as you mentioned.
You were saying much earlier.
The hammer becomes transparent for him.
When something goes wrong, when there's a specific problem. But
I think I should explain that a little bit further, because
this is such
it's just a piece of wood with metal on the end. I could have desires about it. All my mental content created, and all the things they dealt with were creatures. I hammer with a hammer because one hammers with hammers in our culture.
I mean, you just said that one does what one does.
It's just a piece of wood with metal on the end.
With its contents.
That's right.
And from these contents.
That's right. It's a relationship of... is, as you let the cat out of the bag, the structure of time.
But I think we need something a bit more substantial than that to get our teeth into. Can you fill that out a bit?
Yes, Husserl's basic idea...
How does it come about? Can you explain this for us? How somebody so little known generally is of such enormous importance?
We can see the hammer as a wooden shank with an iron blob on the end, and we're always already in a situation, and it always already matters some way. We don't ever get behind our moods and start from no mood and then step into one.
Primarily observing.
Maybe he's paying attention to the nails.
We are.
But if the nails are going in well and
in amongst it all, we are in there in the world.
But if the nails are going in well and he's really good and he's been doing it all day, he doesn't even have to pay attention to that.
Why is that?
If I'm hammering with a nail, it's in order to, say, repair a house.
I think it's worth going over it again, perhaps in slightly different terms.
Gay, froh in German.
Put that way, you make it sound like a sort of philosophy of personal liberation.
I hammer with a hammer because one hammers with hammers in our galaxies, as you mentioned. I couldn't experience anything at all.
And it's from there that we start.
That's right. It's a relationship of...
this is, as it were, an individual liberation philosophy.
He can't take off all his clothes and roll in the flowers. One doesn't do that. But there's
thank you very much for that, Professor Dreyfus.